Good morning, fools. Welcome to the All Jammed Up podcast presented to you by Music Never Stopped. I'm your host, Clint.
I'm your co-host, Chloe, and we're back together.
Well, we're all jammed up and we're ready to blast. It's time for Clint and Chloe's Music Podcast.
I'm back in the flesh.
Back in the flesh.
No more virtual podcast.
It is a little hard to do virtual. You kind of never know when the other person's about to start talking.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Now that I've been on that side, I can see where the difficulty comes from.
I try to let the people too usually just talk, but if I have something that's like related, I'll just completely keep going until they stop. Because I know like they'll keep talking.
Yeah.
But like if they just said something and I want to like expand on what they just said, I just know I have to keep talking. Because I'll see myself like in the video sometimes and I'm just like,
yeah,
like waiting to say something. And that's usually what I do. But like if it's like I need to get this in so we can move to this next topic, I'm just like, I just got to interrupt them.
I feel like I said the other day, I might have even been talking to you, that is a pet peeve of mine.
It's the worst. I hate doing it, but it's
Yeah.
like to keep the conversation flowing this way.
Absolutely no. When you're guiding a conversation, you got to do it. But in day to day, when there are those people that
You know who you are.
interrupt and then steamroll the rest of the people involved in a conversation. But no, for leading a conversation, I guess it is what you have to do. But it's nice to have you back in person.
It's nice to be home.
Yeah.
It's nice to be home.
It's been comfy, cozy week. We got a rainy Sunday.
Just started raining. On the podcast today, though, we have Big Mickey, Mickey Lenny. He plays the Iwi for Janny Buffet. You guys know, here at All Jammed Up, we love Janny Buffet.
We are buffet boys.
Buffet boys.
we are the buffet boys. We are all about them jammy
And
fellas.
Mickey, so like when we first interviewed Jammy Buffet, when it was just Tyler, Bob, and Brendan, Mickey was not in the band yet. And then he got into the band when we saw them for the first time in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about it a little bit in here, but in the interview, but he adds such a new element to the band.
Yeah.
They don't have steel drums, and I feel like that's a big part of Jimmy Buffett's music.
Mm-hmm.
And like obviously the Iwi is not like equivalent, but it's one of those things. It's like it's not necessity to the music, but having it elevates it so much. And
It's
I
a
feel
novelty.
like, yeah,
I mean, yeah, seeing them was my first experience with any kind of electronic wind instrument, I feel.
yeah, it's not. It makes me. We've been talking about it. I interviewed him last week, and since I got home Friday, I've been talking about getting like a little MIDI controller or something because he said that's all like the Iwi is like a MIDI controller. You can just make all these sounds.
Yeah.
And I don't really know. So if you know how that stuff works, so I need a controller and a synth, let me know. We'll start at the bare bones option.
Yeah, because sometimes Clint likes to, I mean, we all do. Sometimes you like to kind of nosedive into hobbies. But I did the same with my crochet. I learned how to crochet, and then I bought 4 things of yarn, and it's been set.
We spent like $500 on this podcast when we started it, remember?
Yeah, we ripped it. I mean, we did research, though,
Yeah.
for the most part.
But we didn't know, like, if you would have told me last year and we started that we'd still be doing it now,
Yeah.
I'd be like, no way.
Yeah. And for it to have grown as much as it has.
Yeah, it's been fun. But
yeah, if you could get a little trackpad to play on, I'd like you
just
could
something
make
you're like,
some.
pew, 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 and then you can, I think to like change the sounds that you need a separate synth, but maybe you can do it through like Audacity or something.
You should
I
look
don't know.
into
It probably would have been a great question for Mickey when I interviewed him.
probably, but I was gonna say you should look into LPGOB's Fem House. I think they do like. My friend Sarah that I work with I think she does classes.
Really?
And like teaches you pretty much how to DJ. That might be something fun to look into.
I don't know if I want to DJ. I just want to make the sounds though and just play.
Well, yeah, but it would be fun to be able to like
Have an understanding
mix
of
the
what you're doing,
sounds with
yeah.
each other. Yeah, but I guess that's all ear based. You don't need someone to tell you what button to press.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You just go through and hit all the buttons once, and then learn it.
Learn it.
Learn it.
So we got a great interview today with Mickey, and then we found some article top 75 guitar players of after 2000. We're going to review that on the back end. Maybe there's a couple other things we'll talk about too. But here's the interview with Mickey from Jam Buffet. We'll see you guys on the back end.
Honey, you're listening to some all jammed up.
You guys, we're here today with Mickey Lenny, Big Mickey from Jam Buffet. How's it going, man?
Good. How about you, Clint?
I'm doing good, man. I'm tired.
Yeah. You just flew into Boston?
Yeah, I'm here for work, and I got back to my hotel room and crashed for a little bit. But how are you, man? Where are you at right now, Colorado?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm in Denver in my studio, flashing behind me.
Yeah.
Getting ready to head down to Florida with Jamie in a couple days.
Yeah, you guys got a pretty big tour. You got a lot of dates down there.
Yeah. It's like a couple weeks in Florida, then a couple weeks off, then a couple weeks in the Midwest, a couple weeks off, and then we're hitting it again in May. I don't think all of those are announced yet, but yeah, it's going to be a really fun spring.
Have you played any Florida shows with Jamie yet?
We did one North Florida, right after we saw you. Maybe it was St. Pete.
Okay. Yeah, when you play those Key West shows, I feel like that's kind of got to be like it's got to like hit different a little bit.
Yeah, and I went to school down in Miami and actually never made it down to the Keys, so I'm getting that redemption tour in.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. How many different instruments do you play in that band?
I play three. So I was originally a trumpet player, went to school in Miami for that. Got deep into the EWI, the electric wind instrument. Uh, Lovingly coined the disco kazoo, the jazz vape, the robo oboe, the space clarinet. Those are probably my four favorite names.
Yeah, I like the jazz
And that
vape. That's
got,
a good one.
yeah, and that really got me. I call it my gateway drug because it got me into synthesizers and it got me into this space of kind of shape shifting, which,
Hmm.
I think keyboards, as far as the 20th and 21st century goes, keyboards are like the most flexible tonal instrument. They can really sound like anything. Um, and yeah, so
Yeah, how
keyboards,
did you?
electric wind instrument, and trumpet.
What was the first instrument? Because you play quite a few. What was the first instrument that you learned?
Actually, it was violin.
Okay.
I started on violin when I was, I think, around when I turned 5, and played that up sometime in middle school. My teacher was really intense and just kind of wanted to do something different. And by then I'd started playing some trumpet with the classic
Mhm.
fifth grade, sixth grade band.
And where are you from originally? Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Boulder,
Okay,
just
you
down the
grew up in
road.
Boulder. So was like
Yeah,
music, like going to see live music, was that like a big part of your like childhood teens or
absolutely. My
yeah.
dad is a huge music head. Kind of a combination of like a lot of jazz. I definitely heard a lot of Coltrane and Miles. And then he also was into the Dead and the Talking Heads.
Hmm.
So I didn't get a lot of like pop music influence. Like I remember just like getting into Crosby, Stills and Nash when I was like 22, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, this album's amazing." He's like, "Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites." And I'm like, "I never heard this." Like,
Yeah. What kind of so like are you jazz like first and foremost? That's kind of like your bread and butter?
you know, it's hard to pick one because I really grew up a lot, going to a lot of classical and jazz performances. My best friend's dad was the classical bass professor at the university in Boulder, and he actually was bringing in a few times, when I was around 12 or 10 to 13 years old, he brought over some world-class musicians from India. And I remember, I mean, that was my first like drug experience, like music as a drug
Yeah.
experience, was being a few feet away from them in a friend's living room. And, this flute player who'd been on like 5,000 Bollywood movies, and a tabla player who was, a rising star. And
What was that instrument? A tabla?
tabla,
What is
it's
that?
like the hand drums,
Okay.
but they can really talk much more than a lot of other drums. And they it's essentially, from my limited knowledge, one hand is kind of bending the head of the drum to change the pitch, while the other hand strikes it. Um,
And you saw in the living room just someone playing that
yeah,
and
it was this trio of. It was just. I still like distinctly remember how much of an out of body experience that was. Some 20 odd years later.
how
Um,
old were you when
so
that
I think
happened?
probably 12. I don't know.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I was going to see classical shows. I was going to see jazz. I was playing in those genres, but also my violin teacher was really into some Brazilian music, and they were there was a lot of folk and bluegrass around Boulder. So it was all kind of mixed. The one thing I didn't really get too much of was like rock and pop,
Hmm.
but at the same time, like in middle school, I was listening to System of a Down and Dream
Yeah.
Theater and Pink Floyd. Like I think the things I missed are like some of the biggest pop hits of the '80s. I'm like, I've never heard that before to this day.
Yeah, yeah. So having that like musical background, what made you want to go to Miami?
So there's this trumpet player. He's a Denver legend, Greg Gisbert,
Hmm.
and he had he grew up around here and dropped out of Berkeley after a semester to go tour with Buddy Rich, and played with Frank Sinatra, and did the whole Lady Gaga, Tony Bennett thing. So he's just a legend in the jazz world. And he, at the time I was looking at schools, he was teaching in Miami. So really, it was just for him. Um, they have a pretty incredible history to that program, though. With Pat Metheny was down there. Um, Jocko didn't go to school down there, but he was living down there. And some of my other Colorado mentors had gotten their masters or whatnot down there. So it was, yeah, he was the reason I looked at it, and then it was the best school I got into.
What was his name again?
Greg Gisbert.
So did you end up having him as a teacher?
No, so he was no longer there by the time I got down there, but it was this weird circuitous thing where I got into trumpet effects down there, and then 5 years after I graduated, I started working with him
Mm,
because I was into trumpet effects.
yeah.
Um, and now we actually have a band together.
Okay. What's that band called?
That's called Electric Giz.
Yeah, so I saw that project on your Instagram. Tell me a little bit about that. I never really have heard of that one.
Yeah, so I'd say it's a pretty new project. We've been playing for about 2 years, and I write pretty much all the music, which has been awesome. I've been in so many different bands, and I've done a lot of arranging and kind of working as a band member. But this is the first time I've really stepped into that role as the writer and the band leader. Um, so I'd say it has like one limb in the jazz world, one in the jam world. Definitely influenced by electronic stuff. Um, I really try to not think too much about writing for it. And, I'd say most of the musicians in it are more on the jazz side, but they all have an interest in, the guitar player is a total rock guy. The keyboard player is really into a lot of electronic music.
Hmm.
And, yeah, so we have a few tunes out on YouTube, just live cuts right now, but we're planning a EP, our first release in June, I believe. And I just got a track back from some pedal steel tracks back from my buddy Mike Robinson, who plays with Sierra Farrell now and
Okay.
was playing with Railroad before.
Nice.
Um, so yeah,
B,
really
I,
that like made my afternoon, was like hearing him play some pedal steel on there. It's like, oh, one of those instruments. It's just truly incredible.
yeah, I just saw our like local Grateful Dead band was missing somebody the other day, and some like local pedal steel guy just came in and sat in for the day. And I was like, they need to have this guy every show. It's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about that instrument that kind of adds just like a new flavor to the band, to the music?
You know, I think it just has such a raw emotion to it. It's able to access that, kind of like it has a bit of that same thing that like trucks or almond,
Hmm.
because it isn't fixed pitch, it isn't a fret. There's so much room for expression, and I think it's intimidating to the point that like really, I don't know, the people I know who play it are amazing,
Yeah.
and yeah, and Mike's one of those guys. I met him in sixth grade, and you know, saw him go from yeah, playing with local bands to living in New York to playing with Jeff Austin to playing with Railroad and now Sierra. And it's like any chance I get to bring somebody like him in, yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can help me with this. I was watching them play the other day at the pedal steel, and he was doing something with his thighs where he was like opening them and closing them. What does that do while playing?
I think there's levers underneath that I believe they change the tuning.
Okay.
Um, but you'd have to ask a real pro to. I mean, I see them at gigs like building their instrument,
I
literally
watch him
like
play and I'm like, I don't even know how you're getting that sound. It seems like it's all just like
yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a serious tradition to it in the
Hmm.
bluegrass, and I think specifically in the country world. Like if I'm sure if you talk to some like Nashville studio cats,
Yeah, they would know.
they would enlighten you.
So like being like what would you even like classify like not brass because it's like iwi, but like the instruments that you play are different than the usual that I interview. You know, people play guitar and it's like, oh, Jerry Garcia, Trey, and then bass like Les Claypool, Phil Lesh. Who's kind of
Yeah,
your like the guy that's kind of the guy for the instruments that you play?
man. Well, I mean, for the iwi, there's a couple. I always kind of
For the people
assume
that
I don't
don't
know
know
this.
that, for the people that have never
Yeah,
seen you play, can you explain what the iwi is? Because it is a very unique instrument.
yeah. So it's a acronym. It stands for Electric Wind Instrument, which is why kind of some of these other names
Yeah.
have come about. People come up to me after a show and go, "Is that a jazz vape?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." Um, and it really does look like if an alien played clarinet. It's like has a bit of that the band from Star Wars vibe.
Hmm.
Um, and essentially, I use it as a MIDI controller, so I can make any sound in the world. I can plug it into any synthesizer, whether that's analog, digital, and it is very similar to playing a keyboard in that sense, with the added element that your breath is like tantamount to the expression. So if I'm blowing harder, maybe on a certain sound that adds a little bit of a wind noise, or it overdrives the harmonica sound, or it's just louder, or it opens up the filter more, which are all things that you can do on a keyboard. It's just kind of a different way of accessing that form of expression. So there was a video that my friends and I used to watch in high school of Michael Brecker, who's the godfather of the iwi, one of the best saxophone players of all time. Um, and he was kind of the guy who he was the epitome of the iwi when I was growing up. And there's another guy, Bob Mincer, and they're both very much jazz funk influenced sax players who, it was the 80s. They were wanting to not just play an acoustic instrument.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I was always so obsessed with those guys starting from when I was like maybe 15, 16. And as I got to this really intense jazz school, it was very clear to me early on that I wasn't going to be a jazz musician for my life. I enjoyed the music, but it wasn't, it wasn't the experience that like really made me feel like myself.
And were you okay with that? Were you okay with not being a jazz musician?
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, I don't know if anybody's okay when they're 18 and 19, um, especially if you're going to art school. But
Yeah.
I think I came to terms with it pretty quickly, and that's when I started getting into trumpet effects, running it through guitar pedals and vocal pedals, um, and then also got into the EWI. And you know, I don't think I really I wasn't the kind of student that a lot of my professors wanted, um, and that's fine by me. It's funny enough, it led me back to the jazz world. Like five or so years after I graduated, I ended up working with one of the top jazz composers in the world
Hmm.
because I did this thing,
Yeah.
because I did the trumpet effects thing.
Was that a hard thing to learn? Like, was someone teaching you, or was it just kind of a lot of trial and error and like seeing what works and what doesn't work?
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely hard. And I had some moments of mentorship in that front, some moments of YouTube University, but a lot of just trying stuff out. And still to this day, as I'm developing my rig, I'm after the show, I'm asking whoever's mixing, like, hey, was it like anything weird, anything pop out? Not that I trust any random sound person, but
Yeah.
I'm up there. I'm focused on playing music. Like,
Hmm.
if I get some feedback 3 nights in a row from 3 different people, like, there's probably something I can do to improve everybody's experience.
So does the
Um,
rig ever stay the same, or is it you're always changing it?
I mean, it's definitely stable at this point.
Hmm.
But as far as the jammy rig, I've only been playing with them for coming up to 6 months now. So that's still relatively new. And I just got a new, much more tour friendly pedal board. Um, really Ableton controller because that when you're playing so many instruments, it's like how can you have the flexibility and the freedom to like have sound choice, have effect control without bringing way more stuff than the drummer.
Hmm.
My goal is to like have as much stuff as him, but not more than that. Keep it like 4 or 5 bags.
How did you get linked up with those guys, with Jamie?
So I've known the drummer Tyler Gwynn,
Hmm.
aka Smooches. I've known him
Smooches, that's
for
a new one. I haven't heard that.
it's an old one. We're
Okay.
we're bringing it back out from time to time. I've known him for close to a decade. We were both coming up in the Boulder scene around the same time and hanging at the Lazy Dog, Fox Theater a whole lot. Our old bands, him and 10th Mountain Division, me and Amora Mora, we played together a bunch. And then at a certain point, I started kind of being the sixth or seventh guy, I can't remember, in 10th Mountain Division. When they would do a local show, they'd say, oh, come in, play some horns, play some aux
Hmm.
keys. And, that was, and I play a ton with Cashmere Sweater, which is him and Cooney, the old bass player. It was their project. So we have a long term musical relationship there. So it was kind of a just right time, right place. Know that I'm not going to be an insane person in the band. Just as a roommate, because I actually do live with Tyler right now.
Oh, you do.
Uh, so yeah, and then I'd met Bob once or twice, and yeah, um, just dove in head first.
What was your relationship with Jimmy Buffett's music before you joined the band?
So my biggest relationship with Jimmy Buffett was actually that he was my graduation speaker in Miami.
Okay.
Um, and I'd heard the hits, but I hadn't really been that deep in his catalog. And I remember driving around like prepping for that first gig, and at that point it was nobody knew if it was going to be a good fit.
Hmm.
But I remember like I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt, the windows were down, it was like 75 degrees, and I was sitting at a red light. I was like, oh man, I get this.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you remember what song it was?
come Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one is has a special spot in my heart, and yeah. So much of his catalog now. Like my girlfriend's so tired of me singing it or just like quoting random lines all the time.
I've been listening to Havana Daydream in that record a lot lately.
So good.
There's something so feminine about a mandolin and what is it like Woman on Caroline Street?
Yeah, that one's amazing.
There's some bangers on that album.
Yeah, and even title track is wonderful.
Hmm.
We'll do that one duo. Brendan and Bob will sing it, and then I've been playing some cornet on that, which is so fun.
Yeah, what's the difference between the cornet and the trumpet?
The cornet's just a little bit shorter, like this way.
Okay.
It generally has a bit of a warmer sound. It's it was like before trumpet really took over, the cornet was like the instrument in like the 30s, 40s, 50s.
Hmm.
And then it kind of started to switch. I think maybe partially influenced by the fact that guitars were getting amplifiers, but also, everything comes in waves.
Yeah.
And the trumpet does have a bit more of like a pointed brightness to it, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah, what was like your initial like reaction to some of the fans? Like I know that like the Jimmy Buffett fandom can go really deep and like I don't think people know like how deep like the parrot heads like how much how hard they go for Jimmy Buffett. So what was your kind of reaction when you started playing shows with them?
You know, it none of it really surprised me because I mean, when I joined a jam band like pretty fresh out of college, and I'd never been to a show. Like I grew up listening to a lot of the Dead, but it was, American Beauty first, and then,
Hmm.
some live shows. But like American Beauty is still like one of those albums that I think of my dad, and
Yeah.
so, I was kind of dropped in, and like most of the times when I saw a jam band, like for the first time, like half the time I was opening for them. Whether that was like Talk, Papadozio,
Hmm.
Pigeon, Stafford, like so I'm kind of used to just getting dropped into these worlds and like just trusting that these people are, they're at church, and that's something I don't take lightly. Is like this is powerful music to people.
Hmm. What do you feel is like your like when you get on stage and like an Iwi's not like a necessarily like a vital part to the music, right? Like it's not like you
Yeah,
can do with or without it. What do
yeah,
you
yeah.
feel your role is like in the band when you're playing the Iwi?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think I just made a post on social media about this kind of my
Yeah, that's
relationship with
kind of the way
like,
I wanted to lean into that because I had that written down.
yeah, that the relationship with being like a lead instrument,
Hmm.
I think everybody goes through the phase where oh my God, the fast guitar shit. That's so cool. Like he's shredding. Um, and I think I hit a point, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago where I realized like, oh, I don't actually like connect to that. That doesn't like make me feel too much
Hmm.
unless I'm like, high out of my mind or something. But yeah, I think the storytelling element of an instrumental section is kind of it's something I'm very passionate about, and that shows up in my writing, and I think is always the goal when I'm improvising is
Hmm.
we're kind of, it almost feels like similar to like you're reading a fantasy series, you know, and you don't quite understand the physics or the magic of the world. And it's like, how can you, yeah, like, how can you not get complacent as a band where, okay, we're just going to do this same rise, we're going to play the same chords, it's going to be the same sounds. So I think the iwi is really an instrument where I like to try to surprise myself, and take risks from a storytelling perspective. And even, yeah, I saw Dream Theater last night or last year at the Mission Ballroom, and I walked away really thinking like, oh my gosh, their ballads are incredible.
Yeah.
Which, like, nobody thinks of ballads with Dream Theater, but the way they chill out and long sustained notes on the guitar and like these huge emotional arcs, like that's the stuff that really makes it all worth it.
Yeah, I think, and when I said that, like the iwi, you can like have with or without it. That's not like a slight by any means, but
Oh no.
I do feel like it gives like when you have a unique instrument like that, like the iwi or like a band that adds a sax, like there's an opportunity to elevate the music so much when you add in an instrument like that. And I think that you do a really good job of that. When I saw you guys in, where was that, Athens? I
Yeah.
felt like you were like a snake charmer, and like everyone was
Yeah.
like coming out of the little basket.
Totally. And that's really something that's influenced my direction as a musician is like I love the trumpet. I love the iwi, but I don't want to hear the trumpet on every song. I don't
Hmm.
want to hear the iwi on every song, you know? And the iwi's a little, maybe the iwi's okay because it can sound like anything. But I
Yeah.
really don't want to hear trumpet on every song. Like that's just not, it's even if you put effects on it, it's still like this direct, bright, brassy thing, right?
Yeah, and I feel like when you add too much trumpet, it kind of takes away from like the allure of it, like the novelness of
Exactly.
it, what makes it special in the song.
Totally.
Have you ever heard of a band called Foxing?
I feel like I have, but there's no image that pops to mind.
Okay, it's like a
I'll check
Midwest
them out.
emo sad boy music, but they have a
Oh yeah.
trumpet that they bring in every now and then, and it always like I don't even know if they do it in like the same. I've seen them a few times, and it's like they always bring out the trumpet at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I remember seeing Cake at Red Rocks when I was
Hmm.
like 19 or so. And it was, uh, looking back, it was a foundational moment because he's playing trumpet, and then he's playing keyboard.
Yeah.
And he's playing all those like kind of almost like West Coast hip hop synth lines.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's not the music, but they kind of have some of that as far as the synthesizer. And I'm just like, oh, you mean I don't have to just play trumpet? Like,
Yeah. You mentioned a few times like storytelling when improvising. Like, what does that look like, or like what does that mean to you in your music? Like, how are you trying to tell the story, and like what is the story you think you're trying to tell?
hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes back to like music for me is a place where I go to feel.
Hmm.
And I've realized that like my purpose in life is whether I'm playing music or not, my purpose in life is to help people feel. So often, in action, what that usually feels like is just kind of taking a breath, like really approaching it patiently and not feeling like I need to rush in and play my solo before, you know, some hotshot guitar player started soloing,
Yeah.
which, I think in younger bands and less mature bands and other projects I've played with, like the band doesn't give you space and you have to really carve it out. But playing with these guys, I mean, it feels like everybody's really open to it going wherever it goes. And like, I think one thing that I find when I'm accompanying a soloist is like I have an idea for something I want to play and I'm not playing it. I'm waiting as long as I can before I play it. And then it might hit a moment where I'm like, oh, that idea doesn't work. That's stale. Like, I'm not actually going to go there because we're going this way instead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a soloist, it's similar where, yeah, on one hand, I'm leading, but on the other hand, I'm really trying to just like, I don't love how this sounds, but it is how it feels. Like, let these ideas flow through. And some of those ideas might be from the lights or the drummer, or like musical things that are happening. Or I just like I play something and I hear it and I go, oh, that takes me another direction. Um, and I think with the iwi, the sound choice is especially relevant because some sounds are much more like sitar plucked, some are much more like flute synthesizer where I can do a crescendo like on a normal wind instrument versus if I'm playing a plucked sound like a steel drum or a sitar, it's going like da 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 da. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do a crescendo like that.
Yeah. With the do you have like a new instrument, like another instrument that you want to learn? Like you have this unique breadth of instruments you already play. Is there another one you want to add to your belt?
I mean, I got a bass in here, I got a couple guitars, but it's kind of I got a little accordion back there. I have a drum set around. I feel like at this point, it's already, I have three instruments and I write and I do some production, recording, mixing for other folks. So it's like already hard
I'm
enough
busy
to,
enough.
yeah, like I haven't really written a song and I've barely opened Ableton for like creative purposes in 2026. It's mostly been for my live rig.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't think I don't anticipate me ever learning another instrument. Um, Maybe could pick up some violin again, but that's a hard instrument.
Yeah, when you have like you have multiple projects and you mentioned writing, mixing, producing for everyone else. When you're like working through this role as a musician like professionally and you get to this point where you're so busy that like your creative side of it is almost at a loss because of the work you have to do. Is that
Yeah,
like discouraging or is it almost encouraging in a way to work harder to give yourself that time for creativeness? Like what does that look like, that balance of work and then being able to express yourself?
totally. I mean, I think it goes in seasons. Um, like last year, my band Electric Giz had a monthly residency at Dazzle, an awesome jazz club in Denver. So that, made it easier to finish a bunch of new tunes. And hoping to get, we have that one show in June. Uh, going to do that EP release. So like even just like starting to put out the word and build okay, we're going to do that EP release. They're not mixed. These songs are not mixed. They're recorded, but like we need those deadlines in order.
Yeah.
I need to book the rehearsal in order to finish the tune. And then the other side of that, like I just told I've been working at a nonprofit teaching for a few years now, and through them at a charter high school for teaching music production to kids who are been in juvenile detention,
Hmm.
and it's kind of like a last chance school. And with how busy life is getting, how much I'm being on the road, like I'm just like, hey guys, I can't keep teaching here. So I think I'm very much in a transition phase where I'm still teaching, but also busy enough with other things that I can't really be teaching.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, one of my goals for this Florida run is take like 15 minutes after each sound check and like write something.
Okay.
Just like do a little bit every day to get back into that habit.
Yeah, and doing stuff like that like seems so simple in your head, just like spend 10 minutes, write something down. and then day four you
Yeah,
slip it, and then I know how it
yeah,
goes, man.
totally. But, I think as a musician, I feel like I'm so used to practicing. Like,
Mhm.
it made building meditation practice, it made journaling easier because I'm like, oh, it's time to do the thing. Like, and if I missed it yesterday, like that doesn't matter. Like,
Do you mind if we get into your sobriety at all? I can edit that part out if you don't want to talk about it.
no, whatever you want. I'm
Okay,
pretty
cool.
open about most things. I mean, I've even talked to my mom about shrooms, and she is not that kind of person.
Um, so you're just sober from alcohol, or
So, I my favorite substance is weed,
mhm.
and I stopped smoking probably, I don't know, 3.5 years ago now.
Good for you.
Um, Thanks. Yeah, and like, it was one of those things I'd kind of quit-ish a couple times before. I knew I was using it as like a numbing agent, specifically, physical tension. And I'd feel my arms and I'd go, oh, I want to keep playing music. Let me just take a couple dabs.
Yeah.
And then my arm doesn't hurt anymore and I can play keyboard for 2 more hours. Which, like, spoiler alert, that doesn't your body doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I also realized like how much it was inhibiting my creativity.
Mm.
I think substances can be great for opening up your awareness to possibilities. And for me, it hit a point where it was preventing like follow through. It was preventing me from finishing songs. I had 1,000 sketches and one finished song kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's a frustrating place to be in when you want to be writing because you kind of are writing, but you're mostly just bullshitting and writing some of it down. And yeah, so that was and continues to be like really, for me, that was the hard thing.
Yeah.
Stopping drinking just kind of happened. I was holiday holiday season 2024, and it's between gigs and social gatherings. I was drinking some amount of alcohol, like 5, 6 times a week, probably,
Hmm.
and just like wasn't feeling very good, wasn't sleeping well. Um, I have a thyroid condition that might contribute to that. I've talked to some other people who like alcohol doesn't work well for them physically. Um, and I was playing with Clay Street Unit up in Crested Butte for New Year's Eve. And, we're playing at a brewery, having a good time. I ate some shrooms at set break. And it got to right after the show, probably 12:30 a.m. And I picked up a beer, had a sip of it, and I was like, no. I just like
Yeah.
popped another little cap, like had a great night, and really, I was just planning on taking a break from drinking, and
When you
yeah,
take a
like
break, it's
never
almost like, why would I start again?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially, like my experience with drinking was always like half the time I'd get the like alcohol experience that, we all generally enjoy of like, I'm loose, I'm having fun, I'm kind of saying stupid shit and it's fun.
Yeah, I
But
know. I
then the
know.
the other half the other half of the time I'd be like two or three drinks in and I'd be like, oh, I feel hungover, I feel like
I'm
shit.
tired. Yeah.
Yeah, because my body just really doesn't process it well.
Hmm.
Um, so that one, I don't think it's something I ever had a problem with, except for, trying to like feeling like it helped me fit in, which it really didn't. It made me sad.
Yeah.
And then I would be feel even more alone.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like the older you get too, like when you're younger, you're not as confident in like who you are.
yeah,
So you kind of lean on drinking a little more, and then as you get a little older, realize who are your friends. You're like, oh, okay, I don't really need to do that.
totally. And yeah, I think, in my current social circles, and it seems like in the greater world, like there's a bit of a normalization of like, hey, you don't have to like have a drinking problem to not drink.
Yeah.
Because I think that was kind of my perception when I was younger. It was like, oh, the only people that don't drink are the ones that like couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
Like, which is, that's not a very helpful,
I'm sure
I don't
too,
know.
being a musician and like especially a musician for a Jimmy Buffett cover band, you probably see some pretty drunk people and it's like,
Yeah.
eh, I'm good.
Yeah, and it's nothing new. Like
Yeah.
I've been in that scene for long enough and been part of that, been on the other side of the, yeah, so that one it doesn't feel like as momentous, maybe because it just wasn't as difficult, but
Yeah.
it's definitely, one thing that's really nice about the current band dynamic is like, we're backstage pounding that bubbly water. Like, there's a couple, maybe a couple drinks, but like I think bass player, drummer, and I, none of us drink anymore. So it's like, that last bubbly water is when things get contentious.
Yeah.
Like,
What are you looking forward to? I mean, you guys are going on this tour and you're doing Florida, which like has got to be really exciting. What's something you're like really looking forward to hopefully experience on this next run?
yeah, I mean, the highlights got to be 2 nights playing with Peter Mayer down in the Keys. For those who don't know, he was Jimmy's guitar player for the last 35 or
Nice.
so
That's gonna be
years of
awesome.
his band. And got to play a couple songs with him in Nashville and watched Encanto with him. And man, that just watching that movie with him is like one of my favorite experiences in this band because just his excitement, his angle on the whole experience. It's like, man, I don't know if I ever enjoyed watching a movie as much as this guy seems like he's enjoying this.
And you guys are playing
Like,
with him in Key West?
yeah, both
That's got to
nights.
be awesome.
Yeah. And then yeah, I mean, there's a few hits on the Midwest tour that I'm really excited for. I haven't been to Chicago in way too long, and that one, it's looking like it's definitely going to sell out.
Yeah.
The Chicago people they're excited. So
They need some Jimmy
nothing
Buffett,
like
baby.
yeah, nothing like playing a sold out room and in one of the cooler cities in the country too.
When you're not listening to Jimmy Buffett or you're not listening to different kinds of jazz, living in Colorado, what kind of shows are you checking out over there? What's, some new artists that are kind of on your radar?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I I listen to a ton of podcasts actually in my own time because I feel I'm like kind of just saturated by music all the time.
Mm.
But um,
What podcast are you
it's
listening to?
I've been on a car talk kick lately.
Okay.
Yeah, it's super random, very unrelated to my life, but has a certain nostalgia, and those dudes are just hilarious. David Grisman actually did the theme song for them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just burning bluegrass.
It's just like about like new cars or like race cars.
No, so it was a NPR show for like 30 some odd years, and it's two brothers, and it's like a call-in car advice show.
Nice.
But it's I listen to it for the comedy, really.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's anybody who grew up with their parents listening to NPR has opinions about that one.
All things
Um,
considered, my grandpa used to always listen to that one.
yeah, yeah. I'll listen to Behind the Bastards when I can like face when I'm feeling good, bring me down a little. Um, have a buddy out here, Dan, who runs the Ableton Producer podcast for any real nerds out there. And yeah, I'll just kind of bounce around, stuff like that. Fall of Civilizations is great for a road trip, like
Those
a
are some
five
good
hour
ones, yeah.
episode.
I'll
Um,
have my girlfriend watching like ancient Egypt YouTube videos, and she's like, "Can we please
yeah,
change this?"
yeah. I mean, as far as like local bands, I absolutely love the new Clay Street album. Plays tribute.
Dude, that dude has like I don't know if you consider them bluegrass or whatever, but that dude that sings has the best voice. Like his
Yeah,
voice is so good.
Sam is incredible. The whole band, just great guys.
I haven't seen them yet. I really want to see them.
Yeah, I think that they'll be out your way soon. As far as other new music, that's tough. I mean, I'm a big La Special fan.
Okay.
Uh, I still can't get past Ancient Homies though. Like if I want to listen to them, that's 9 times out of 10, I'm going to that album.
Have you seen, I
Um,
think it's like Luke and Rory's side project, like Drunken Doja Monkey or something?
no, I haven't, and I missed. I think it was Johnny and Adam Deitch from Lettuce did a thing in Denver last week, and I didn't make it to that.
Damn.
Yeah, I can't say I'm like great at listening to new music. That's something I like want to get better at, but I'm even like flipping through things I've been listening to recently, and it's a lot of,
I mean,
my
like
favorite Jason is.
going back to what we said earlier, like when you're around it all day in like a professional sense, it's when you want to unplug, it's not like let me listen to more music. I get it.
Yeah, but I'm a huge fan of the neoclassical movement. It seems like it's kind of centered around Berlin. Artists like Niels Fromm, Hanya Rani, or Olafur Arnolds.
Hmm.
It's a lot of like it, it seems like it's like classical musicians who like were around electronic music and kind of combine the two.
Send me some
Very
of that. I'd be
cinematic.
interested in checking that out.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Um, but yeah, like I'm not the kind of person that DJs at a function. I'll DJ like the afters when everybody like it's time to chill. Like I'm like, all right, this is when I can take over.
Hell yeah. All right, man. Well, this has been a blast, dude. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad we got to. It's better than you
Absolutely.
being behind everybody in the Waffle House.
I mean that is a legendary podcast episode, though.
Hey, it's my only one still done in a Waffle House.
Yeah, I wonder. We should do some research. It might be the only podcast ever recorded in a Waffle
I get somebody on that.
House.
Are you guys' shows gonna be on Nugs, the run in Florida?
Yeah, they should be.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna have to check this out. Well, Mickey, before we wrap up, man, is there anything that you want to plug?
Um, no, I mean, any Colorado folks or anybody who's into a little bit more adventurous electronic. I wouldn't even put it in the jazz bubble, but I'm really proud of yeah, what the Electric Giz thing has done. We had Randy Brecker play on a show last year he was the original trumpet player in Blood, Sweat and Tears. And yeah, so that's like my main thing outside of the Jammy Buffet
If we're
thing.
not in Colorado, where can we? Is there like YouTube shows or anything on Spotify like that for Electric Giz?
Yeah, there's a couple tunes on YouTube, and I will June. You heard it here first. June EP release.
All right. Breaking news on the podcast.
And yeah, Jammy Buffett. I think I'm supposed to say Jammy Buffet, but when you say Jammy Buffett to somebody, they immediately understand what the band is.
I thought that
You
was a
know,
bit. I thought that was just a bit that Bob was doing, the Jamie Buffet
you
thing.
know. I'll do some research and get back to you.
I also
Um,
think everything Bob does might be a bit.
that's what I'm not even sure, and I practically live in a van with the guy. So,
Well, Mickey, thanks so
but
much for
yeah,
coming on, man.
and we're on Nugs. We have a few shows on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. But yeah,
Hell yeah, man. I'll see you
thanks for
soon.
having me, man.
You just got jammed.
Welcome back from that interview with Big Mickey,
Big Mickey, absolute fucking boss man.
legend. If you guys haven't seen Jam Buffet yet, you guys see them.
Yeah, get out and go see those
I
boys.
think
That's
they're
just a fun time.
I think they're about to do like a big tour in Florida, and then maybe the Midwest is where they're gonna be. But I think they got a good summer plan too. I think they got some
Yeah,
good shows coming up on the summer. So keep an eye out for them. If you get a chance to see them, you'll enjoy it.
I agree. Yeah, hands down, don't want to miss if they're anywhere in your area.
The Jimmy Buffett catalog is fire too.
Yeah.
Super slept on, I feel like. I was kind of like, I remember when I interviewed them the first time, I was like, what am I gonna talk about with like these Jimmy? And I was like, oh, the Parrot Head and Deadhead thing. And then I realized, like, just talking to those guys, like how much good music he has. And then I started listening to it. And listen to Havana Daydreaming. Great album.
You're still stuck on that one. You just wait until you open up the next album. You've been stuck on that one and you love it. Wait for the next one to come.
I've listened to a few of them, but that one's just my favorite.
Okay.
Maybe I'll listen to some more.
You just did a Veneta, Oregon, where you just only listened to Havana Daydream.
I'm bad about that. I'm bad about like finding music that I like and just listening to that.
I go like artist by artist. Sometimes I get like really in the mood for a specific artist and I'll just only listen to their songs for like 3 weeks.
Well,
And then I'll get another song in my head and I'll go to that artist.
Well, with my new job, I'll be driving a lot, so it'll give me a chance to kind of dive deep into like certain artists and find new artists that I've been listening to, which kind of leads me straight into this top 75 guitar thing. The first like 3 artists I didn't even know, like never even heard of them.
Also, Brad Paisley was like number 46. You're telling me
65,
was it
I
65?
think so.
You're telling me out of every single person that plays guitar, Brad Paisley
Brad Paisley's
is
got
within
bangers,
the top
dude.
top 100 guitar players.
I think though that's such a like what do you mean like? Because like there's so many different ways to play guitar, you know.
First off, what's a Brad Paisley song?
I'd like to check you for ticks.
Okay, what's another one?
Celebrity, Whiskey Lullaby, Mud on the Tires maybe is
Get
him.
a little mud on tires. I think that was.
I'm gonna miss her. That's a banger.
I'm gonna miss her.
When I get home.
Yeah, you had a little stage. Of
I
that
fuck with
song.
Brad. Out of like that genre of country, Brad Paisley's probably the best.
I feel like that's the kind of country that your mom would listen to.
When I was a kid, yeah.
Yeah.
But I was into it more. Like I liked Brad Paisley.
I had a little bit of a country thing for a little while. I remember being in like 7th grade. Of course, this is like Florida though.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like everyone kind of hit a country stage when they live in Florida. You just have to when you.
But
grow
I
up in
feel
Florida.
like the kind of country now that you hear in Florida like wasn't even a thing until like Florida Georgia line.
Yeah, I was just about to say Florida Georgia line. I hated them.
That
That
made like a new kind of
sucked.
country, I feel like.
I do agree with that. I feel like that was the influx of pop country. Was Florida Georgia
Yeah.
line. That was when people were like, nail that.
That goes back though to the Brad Paisley thing. Like there's so many different ways to play guitar. Like there was some chick named Yasmin Williams maybe that was like number 6.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I just showed you that tiny desk. She had like weird holes in her guitar, and at one point she like put her guitar down on her lap and was just like slapping, like almost playing it like a dobro, but not at all. Like it wasn't sliding. She was just like
Kind of plucking.
yeah, plucking. She had like the banjo claws on too.
I don't know if the holes in the guitar,
Do anything?
I'm sure it's like for the acoustics, but what's the difference of having like one big hole and then 4 small holes?
She had like 6. She had like 2 on the side there, and then like 4 at the base of the guitar.
Guitar people, tell us why holes? Why you got holes? What holes do?
But
If you spread them in different areas, does it change? Thank you.
Thank
Those are
you.
my questions. Get me the answers.
but going on this top 5 guitar thing,
Top 75.
Step 75. So it's from Paste, I think was the article. A bunch of musicians I've never heard of. Makes me want to look into them.
I will say, we'll get there when we get there.
So there was some notables. I didn't have their numbers. Alex G, Brad Paisley, the guitarist from Queens of the Stone Age. And then he gets like the top 50.
The guy from Mastodon.
Yep, that's on here.
Nice.
49, MJ Linderman. 48, Molly Tuttle. 41, Stu from King Giz. 33, the guy from Mastodon. 32, Trey Anastasio.
32 is kind of surprising.
I feel like But then you think about like you were in the jam thing where
Yeah,
it's like
where it's
so
surprising to
hyper-focused,
us,
yeah.
but I didn't know about Trey before coming into the jam world.
17, John Mayer. 16, Billy Strings. 15, Brittany Howard from Alabama Shakes. 12, Jack White from the White Stripes.
Okay, you said that name earlier, and I thought it was that rap guy.
Jack Harlow?
Yeah, I thought it was him. I was like, there's no, and I didn't say anything because I feel like I'd probably made comments about a couple other people, and I was like, all right, like maybe I don't know anything, but that makes sense that it's not Jack Harlow.
Jack Harlow should be like number 1 on musicians of all time.
You liked Jack Harlow for a
I like that
while.
one song, yeah.
That one song, yeah. And he got that bum ass football performance.
That was the worst.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. What was that kid?
Kids digging in our bedroom, yeah.
11, Sufjan Stevens.
Yo.
9 is Jason Isbell. He's from Drive By Truckers and Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, I think is his band. Number 8, it had together Susan and Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
Susan Tedeschi and Derek Trucks. Should just be Derek Trucks, right?
I think so. I think personally,
she's
I think
great.
Susan is an incredible singer.
But
I like her voice a lot.
But you wouldn't say they're the same on like, but maybe it's like complimenting like together.
I mean, she is an incredible guitarist still. But yeah, I think rating them together just because they're married is kind of a cop-out. But I guessed that Derek Trucks would be number 8.
She did.
Without saying, he went, I wonder where Derek Trucks is. I went 8th.
Because that's like if I had to think of number 1, like just real quick, I would probably say in the 21st century, I would probably say Derek Trucks.
Yeah.
But then for like number 4, it was Jeff Tweedy and Nels Klein from Wilco. So that's like another group of 2.
Yeah.
So I don't know where. Do you think there was anyone missing?
In the 21st century,
There was guys from, I said that, Queens of the Stone Age. But that's just like a totally different type of band that I don't really listen to that much. But when I do listen to them, I like them.
what do they have?
I can't even.
It's okay.
I can't even
You
think
call
off the top of
your
my head. Is you're woman? Oh no, that's like wolf something.
I don't really know. I'm bad at names of people to begin with, so I wouldn't even know where to start on.
What about Billy Strings at 16? Checks out. One better than John Mayer.
So that's interesting. One better than John Mayer, but John Mayer is quite a fantastic. Give him credit where it's due. He is quite a fantastic guitar player. You think John Mayer better than Trey? I do agree with.
Yeah.
I do think John Mayer better than Trey. But maybe that's also... No, I've listened to a lot of Fish at this point that I feel I can make that opinion.
Yeah, it's hard to like... It's such a subjective thing, and then it's like... Because you can be like, are we talking like technical ability, or like able to improvise, or like speed in which they play? Like there's so many things. That's why I want to look into some of the artists on that thing. I'll put the link to it in here too if you guys want to check it out.
I feel like it's never speed itself that impresses me. Because you think about like, so every Monday we watch Kill Tony, and every once in a while they'll have a little drum off. And a lot of the people go up there and just think that my beats per minute is what's the most important. When that is the most boring shit. You're just tapping on super fast, not making any kind of sense of it.
I've seen people, this is just like Instagram haters too, but I've seen people on Instagram say they're like, all Billy Strings does is play fast. They're like, that's why. They're like, oh, look how fast. I remember one specific comment is like, oh, on Billy Strings, look how fast I can play.
Which, like, I think speed itself, but I guess guitar is a bit different because guitar is, I mean, I can't say the guitar is more technical than drums because I have zero idea, and that's a disgrace to drummers.
That one guy, we talked about him on the podcast a long time ago, Alan Gogol.
Yeah.
That dude, like, to me, that's like as
he's incredibly
that's
impressive.
like as technical as you can be with a guitar, I feel like, and he wasn't on that. And I think he won in like 2022 or something, like best acoustic player in the world.
Yeah.
So it's crazy for like someone like him, like when you think of technical, like I can't think of something more technical than that on a guitar. So that was one that I was kind of surprised. But yeah, I'm not smart enough to know.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting thing. Like, what makes... Like, I want to talk to someone who knows more. It's like, what makes that? Is it the speed? Is it like the technical ability? What technical ability is more impressive?
What impresses me is being able to do all of it at once.
Yeah.
You've got the speed, you're keeping a beautiful like melody up.
Do you have your own
Yeah.
sound?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like being able to do all those things together really well
Mm-hmm.
is what like amazes me. I don't really, if you're just ripping like a that,
Yeah.
unless we've like built some, it's not really impressing me to just go fast.
Yeah, and like when you can hear like a song comes on, no words, and you just hear a guitar and you can like know who it is. To
Yeah.
me, that's like a mark of being a good. Like if I can just hear you play a couple notes.
Like you probably, Derek Trucks is number 8, like so high on this list because he is someone you can distinguish, and he plays so like
Uniquely.
controlled
Yeah.
and
And
yeah,
it's
he's
the
not going
slide.
for like flair. It's just the way that he plays altogether.
Good shout, Molly Tuttle too.
Yeah, good to get her on there.
Yeah.
She's got a new wig to get you out of her hair, and she's on that list because of it.
Brittany Howard, I thought was a cool one too. Because
Who's
every
she
time
again?
she's in Alabama Shakes
Alabama
and
Shakes. I've heard a lot about that band.
Mustang, when we did the Dream Band, that's who he picked as his guitar player.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, what I've learned from doing this podcast, and especially some of the more recent interviews, is like I need to be listening to more jazz.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I do feel a lot of jam is rooted in jazz.
Mhm.
I've found through this. It's I like Facebook has memories.
Mhm.
17 years ago or something, I posted on my Facebook. It was like right after I got my first bass guitar and I wanted to like prove a point. My Facebook status was, I hate jazz. I love heavy metal. Like, shut the fuck up. You don't hate or
hilarious.
love anything.
Was that? Did you have anything else today?
I do. So I wanted to talk about one thing. I saw that Elenium was at the Sphere. So this is the one thing that kind of like freaks me out about the Sphere is there is no escape. Like you're just in this industrial bubble. And then I was watching the Elenium like show, and he's got the lasers going everywhere. He's got this like being up on the screen, and it's like ripping itself loose from cables and like smashing things. If I was in, that's scary.
That music's intense.
That
too.
is so exactly. And then to have you're in this bubble surrounded by cement, and you're just getting like blah blah blah, just
Yeah.
beating noises, and this big being standing over you trying to break free. I would have a panic attack.
I need to get we need Evil Billy to come out and get in the Sphere and do some visuals.
Evil Billy?
Like when he gets heavy with it.
Oh, okay. Evil Billy in the Sphere. Dark side of Billy.
That's the most fun.
I do agree. It's fun
So
when he
we
gets
said we
heavy.
were gonna listen to the Sturgill Simpson and review it. Didn't listen to it.
Album. We had it on. Again, I'm finding it hard to get into. It's not really a sound that I'm loving, which is fine, but I think maybe I like Sturgill Simpsons and I don't really love Johnny Blue Skies.
I haven't really listened to it much, so I can't offer an opinion. at
It
this time.
sounded like someone had video recorded it being played on a vinyl and then recorded that and published that audio.
Yeah, the audio on YouTube doesn't sound great.
And that's the only place it's released.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's it's a little hard to listen to, but we've only made it 2-3 songs in. So again, that's us really not giving it the chance that maybe we should.
And we're still doing our research for Celtic and Gaelic, so we'll have more on that Thursday.
Yeah.
As
Start
well.
our dive on that.
As in a good bluegrass episode on Thursday. A mandolin player from Richmond named DJ. We got him on the podcast, and he knows a lot about bluegrass, and it was cool to just kind of get a new take on it. He's a musician himself. His favorite bluegrass musician is Larry Keel, which is a little different than a lot of the conversation we have. So I think you guys will really enjoy that episode and probably learn a thing or two, because I know I did. And that's it.
I have one more update. For
Your bread? Did you update your bread?
That's what I was going to do. For those that are following along, I made sourdough. I made the starter from scratch, and I made my first loaf of bread this weekend. It didn't really rise, but it tasted amazing, and it was still like kind of airy. It wasn't as dense as I thought it was going to be, but I know what I need to fix, and I'm excited about it. Yeah. If that's where I'm starting, I'm on pretty good trajectory.
Nice word.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. We'll be back on Thursday with a brand new episode for you. Have a great week. Stay safe. And remember, wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Well, all jammed up, hey, that's where it's going down. Best damn pot in this old Asheville town. More than enough old stories to go around. And I'm all jammed up right now. Yes, I'm all jammed up right now.